Hi everyone. I hope you guys are doing well. This is the second part to my ASMR story of my HIV diagnosis experience and just the whole HIV experience in general. So, if you guys watched the last video, I'm sure you guys know I don't care to prepare anything. I'm just gonna talk, and if you guys are here for ASMR, then most likely you kind of just want to relax and hear a voice in the background. I'm sure most of you are like, why are you speaking like that? ASMR, you should be whispering. Here's the thing. Whispering is one of the worst things you could do for your voice, and I'm one of those people that does not get soothed by those ASMRs. They work for some people, and that's great. And kudos to the people that are helping people relax and sleep, but I can't stand whispering, and sometimes whispering sounds like, what is it called, sandpaper. It's just yeah, it's no. Hold on, I'm gonna light me up a cigarette. So basically, in my last video, I basically talked about my experience of when I found out, going to the doctor, being told the news, hiding, yeah. So I think one of the things that a lot of people have asked me and haven't, but I know they're scared, is how do I have sex? So basically, I put myself in a hazmat suit or whatever they're called, and that's how we do it. And he wears one too. I'm joking. How do you have sex when you're HIV positive? Uh, I believe there's something called condoms. Could always use that. um, yeah. At first, I think, sorry, I might be repetitive. In my last video, I might have talked about how it was when I found out, and I felt like I had died. So I felt like I had to mourn myself, and part of mourning myself included not having any sort of sex. So, when I learned how to process that and deal with it, and I was ready to have sex, I started going on those, like, I guess, like those. This was when, before dating apps. This is when it was like all online. Like, you have to log in, and they didn't really have them on the phones. So basically, the first thing I did was I would always make sure that they know my status. And even if we had kept talking and it went in that direction, I would say, I have to tell you something that I know. I mean, about myself, which you should know. And basically, I would say, I'm HIV positive. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know how much of you would be surprised, because I know some of you are uncomfortable with it, which, I can understand. This is something that nobody wants to get. So, yeah, some of them didn't want to talk to me anymore, and some of them didn't give a fuck. Some of them did not care. Not to the point where they would like, oh, let's bareback. I don't care if you have HIV. It was more like, you have HIV, and I'm comfortable with it. So, let's do it. So for a lot of you that maybe have found out or have been holding this in for a while, there still is intimacy, um, and there will be when you are ready, and it'll be there. So, for those of you, as I said, that have been holding this in and think that you will never have sex again or any sort of intimacy, you can. You can have HIV in a guy or girl, woman, man, whatever, trans, like whoever. If you have HIV, you can still be held tight. You can still be kissed passionately. You can still have like hot sex and oral. The swallowing, I'm not sure about that. I have read that like it's just better not to. And then I feel like I've read, I'm not even gonna say that. But basically, you guys can and will have intimacy again. I'm going to be realistic. It is going to be quite different than before, where maybe you had 1,000 options. But when you tell people about your status, it will decrease. Realistically, it will decrease. But will there still be options? Of course. You'd still be surprised at how many options. And if someone as unattractive as me can still get some, then so can you, beautiful people. So that is one thing a lot of people want to ask. What else do people want to ask? A lot of what people want to ask is about sex, usually. I don't think, and I know they're not trying to be inappropriate, some of them, but some of them genuinely want to know. They want to know how it is without having the reason to know what it is. And that's fair. If you want to learn, then you can be taught and you can protect yourself. It kind of boggles my mind that people still bareback and they just assume that whoever they're having sex with is I don't want to use the word clean, but I don't want to use the word disease free either, but I guess we kind of have to. It's funny, I've told people, I'm HIV positive, and they're not comfortable with it, and that's cool. I get it. But here's my thing. And then you turn around and you have sex with someone that you don't really know, and you use condoms because you had just heard someone say that they're HIV, so that made you uncomfortable. You went with another option. You go with that other option, you use a condom, great. And then you sleep with another girl, you use a condom. And then you sleep with another girl, you use a condom. But then again, you go back to the original girl and you keep using condoms to the point where you end up barebacking. And then you don't actually know her status, and she actually doesn't know her status, or he, whoever. And people are more comfortable going into a situation they know nothing about than to go into a situation where they do. And I'm not saying everything. A lot of people do want to know what they're getting into, but a lot of people just trust a whole, I'm clean. And it's just sad. But you know what? I had to learn the hard way. So, God forbid that anyone gets it, but, we all have to learn the hard way sometimes, and I have. And learning the hard way doesn't make you stupid, it doesn't make you a bad person. That's just what it is. It was a lesson. And, you know, online, it is a bit easier to tell someone that you're HIV positive, but in person, it's a bit harder because their facial expression, it may gut you. So it takes, living with HIV, it's a lot in the sense that there's so many emotions to process. I have had this since 2007, and I've been living with it. Do I think I fully processed it? No. I think there are times when I haven't processed it. There are times when I still hurt. There are times when I still find out. I lost my train of thought. I get distracted easily. No, it's hard. Sometimes I think I've processed it. Sometimes I haven't. Sometimes memories come flashing back, and then you're re-traumatized. Your body feels exactly how it did at that moment. And how do you deal with that? I don't know if there's one way of dealing with it. There's so many coping techniques, and one coping technique doesn't work for everyone, and sometimes people feel the need to give unsolicited advice regarding that. If you have confided in someone that you have HIV and they're doing the whole supportive thing, but their perception or definition of support is giving unsolicited advice, try to stay away from them. If they tell you, oh, you should tell your parents, you should do this, you should do that, just quietly leave the conversation if you can. And if they keep pushing, then they have showed you that they do not respect your boundaries. And if somebody cannot respect your boundaries, then they don't need to be in your life, because that is a trigger. And I think I've mentioned in the other video, a lot of my cousins have said, I would want my child to tell me. And of course, if I was a parent, I would want my child to tell me so I can hold them and comfort them and tell them I still love them and tell them that we can do this together. And I would ask them, let me know how I can support you. Would it be devastating for me? Of course. If I had a child that I found out, I wouldn't be disgusted at all. I would just want to help them. And a lot of people that always get you to look at the other side, they basically have abandoned your feelings. I know for me, a lot of people sometimes try to get me to empathize, and I feel like saying, when I complain or vent, I just need to get out that emotion, and then I empathize. I'm allowed to vent. I'm allowed to get out my emotions. Now, what I am not allowed to do is to just react, is just lash out. And that's what I prefer not to do. But people just always find a way of trying to look like the more empathetic one. And the only times I do that, if I do happen to mention the other side, it's because the other person asked. Otherwise, I'd shut my mouth. And not to mention, every situation is individual, but if you need advice about HIV, try to look online, try to find HIV related resources. You don't need people that don't have HIV trying to guide you. Because at the end of the day, if you take their advice, and it is ill advice, they're not going to take responsibility. Because at the end of the day, they'll say, well, I didn't force you to do anything. No, but you just kept hounding me. You just kept hounding me. So try to keep away from people that are constantly giving unsolicited advice. Yeah. Sometimes people are the absolute worst. But I don't want to keep this video too long. I hope 15 minutes of this, has helped, I hope that my voice relaxed you. I probably make it seem like, HIV is the hardest thing to deal with, and it's difficult, it's devastating, but you can lead a normal life. Are there moments of hell? Yes. Are there moments of bliss when you realize, holy fuck, I'm still living. I'm still living. And life can still be beautiful. As fucked up as life can be, life is still beautiful. And don't let anyone tell you that there's worse. Because yes, there will always be worse. But someone else's trauma doesn't heal mine. It doesn't heal yours. Don't let people say it could be worse. Don't. Whether they tell that to you or not, you might shove it aside and be like, oh, okay, well, it could be worse. You're basically just suppressing emotion, and that's gonna come out later. And yeah, I shouldn't end this by saying people are the worst, but a lot of people are the worst. And nowadays, COVID is bringing that out. Anyways, I hope somehow this video helped you guys in a way that you needed help, whether it's just to think or hear someone else's experience and blah, 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 blah. Anyways, I wish you guys well. And if you guys made it this far and you guys click off, I hope the next video you guys watch is, funny. It's happy or dark, relatable, fucked up, broken. Anyways, bye.